Welcome back to the Freelance Experience. This is the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of building a successful freelance writing business. I am Erica, and today's episode, I'm sharing 3 key actions you need to take every single week to stay on track and to build momentum and guarantee your success as a freelance writer. These are not just like nice to have things. These are habits that separate the writers who make it from those who give up. So let's dive in for this week's tips, that is. Before we get to the specific actions, let's talk about why consistency matters so much. Freelancing isn't just about landing one big byline or one big client and coasting. It doesn't work that way. It's about building relationships. It's a very organic environment. So it's about building relationships, staying visible, and keeping the opportunities flowing. It's kind of like you got to keep the oil, is it oil, grease, grease the squeaky wheel. You got to keep greasing that wheel to keep those opportunities coming in. So you could think of it like a garden. You can't just plant seeds and walk away. You have to water them. You have to pull weeds and tend to them regularly. These 3 weekly actions are going to be the maintenance plan for growing a thriving freelance writing career. So let's get started. Action 1 is pitch every week. This first action is simple, right? But it's powerful. When you pitch every single week, or even more than once a week, you are going to maintain and build a consistency that's going to matter for the long term. I don't care if you just send 1 pitch or you send 5 pitches, but send something. Why? Because pitching is the lifeblood of your freelance business. Whether that means you're pitching articles or you're pitching potential clients, both of those things really matter. And it's interesting because sometimes you'll pitch every week and get nothing. And then, months down the road, you'll get 3 yeses at the same time, which can be stressful. However, you need to be building those opportunities out in advance. Just by taking that action, you're doing something for your business, even if it doesn't give you an immediate payoff. So when you pitch every week, here's what it does. You keep your name and your ideas out there and in front of editors and people that matter, people that may hire you. It builds your pipeline so that you're never starting from scratch. So if you're doing things right, you're sort of keeping a record of who you're pitching, when you're pitching them, what you're pitching them. You can easily do this on a spreadsheet like Google Sheets. You could use a tracking like a Trello board or something like that. Highly recommend that you're keeping track of this stuff because it's so easy to forget when you did it, who you pitched, what you're waiting to hear back. You need a place to keep track of what you're doing. And when you're doing it every week and you're keeping track, you can refine your ideas, you can refine what you're pitching, and you can learn what works. Plus, you're building out your network every time you send a new pitch. Even if you get silence, even if you get a rejection, you're getting your name out there into recognition. You may spark an idea for someone later. Even if you send a cold pitch and they don't reply, an example would be, say they're in a meeting the next week and someone says, oh, I'm looking for someone to do XYZ service. And that person might think, oh, I got an email from a freelancer that was wanting to do that last week. Let me connect you with her. So essentially, you're sort of throwing out all these, I don't want to say lifelines, but just like little seeds everywhere you go so that some of them will ultimately grow into jobs. Obviously, all of them won't, but this is a long game. Okay. I've had work and bylines and gigs that have sprung up from seeds I planted years ago. I'm not saying you need to think like, oh, it's going to take 5 years to land a gig or whatever. That's not always the case. What I am saying, though, is in the meantime, while you're picking up other things, this over here is growing and flourishing. And then when you need it, it will be there for you. So a pro tip on this would be making pitching a non-negotiable part of your schedule. Listen, one of the biggest things that I hear from my students and clients and people in my community is time, just making the time to do it. If you don't make the time by putting it into your schedule, it probably isn't going to get done. Okay. You can't leave this to when I feel like it, because you're probably not going to feel like it. I'm not going to lie. So when you block off time in your calendar, even 15 minutes, like 15 minutes on every Tuesday, you're going to at least start working on a pitch, or 30 minutes every Monday, whatever it may be. Consistency is the goal. And the more that you're consistent and the more that you do it, the faster and better you're going to get at it, the more ideas, that are going to come to you more quickly. Honestly, doing the thing makes you better and faster at the thing. So the action 2 that you're going to take is to build relationships. Freelancing is not just about great writing. And I mean, it is about great writing. But like we said before, you don't have to be the world's best writer. It's really more about who you know and how well you can nurture those connections. Now, there is a caveat to that. Cold pitching is perfectly fine, and you can cold pitch an editor and land a gig or land a byline. That is wholly possible. And I'm not even saying it's rare. However, the jobs and the gigs and the bylines that you're going to get more easily and more commonly are going to be through the connections and relationships that you've been nurturing along the way. So a couple ways that you can do this. Following up with editors. If you've worked with someone before, check in with them. If you like something that someone has done in a business or at a publication, even on social media, like give them a shout out, like, hey, love this article by, and then tag them. Send a new pitch if you're thinking about the person. Even if they give you a rejection, you are back up in their sort of index in their mind. Your name is fresh so that if something does come up that would work for you, they're going to think of you. And just keeping that sort of doorway of communication open with the people that have jobs, are editors, or know people that have the connections. Okay. You just want to keep those doors open. You want to engage on social media. So if it makes sense, you comment on their posts, you share their articles, you respond to their calls for pitches. If you're not on those emails that go out, like Freelance Opportunities by Caitlin Arford, or if you're not in Study Hall, which is a great sort of very cheap monthly subscription service that has pitch call outs from editors at magazines and newspapers, but also for content and service gigs. Those are places that you can be looking for jobs that people are actually advertising they want people to apply for. And then lastly, connect with other writers. I really can't sort of overemphasize, I should say, the importance of that writerly community. We can be doing this as lone wolves. Like we sit at our desks, we sit at our kitchen tables or wherever we work, and we're not really talking to anybody. We're looking into our computer screens. But man, I can't tell you how important it is to have that camaraderie, to make writer friends, to go to writer events, to join groups, to ask for advice, to network with other people that are doing the same thing as you. Because not only is that encouraging and inspiring, but also freelancers like to love on freelancers. And so if I get like a work request or something comes up that I can't do or is not really in my wheelhouse, or I just have too much else going on, I'm going to think of you. I'm going to say, my friend, Christina over here, I can't do it, but Christina can do it. And then I can connect you. And freelancers love to help one another. So the more that you can build out those freelancer relationships, the better it's going to be for you. Relationships, though, they do take time. They take time to build. So at first it might not feel that great, right? But the more that you engage in these communities, and I would say if you can be in person, that's, about 10 times more strong and powerful than just online. You are going to find a lot of opportunities come out of those relationships. And then you don't have to do so much cold pitching, and you can get these personal introductions. And this is such a great benefit. So our third action is review and refine. The third action is one that gets overlooked a lot, but we need to be reviewing and refining our progress, our work, how we're doing, what we're doing, and then just checking in on the trends of what's been happening as we've been pitching. Who's been saying no? Why have they been saying no? Who's been silent? Why might that be? You sort of look at every sort of scenario. If you pitch something and you're like, oh, I thought that was so good, like I thought that at least they would write me back. Well, take a look at what's been going on in that industry. Was there major news? Did you send the email at a weird time? Are you sure you sent it to the right person? Like, you really need to be assessing what you do so that you can get better at what you do. So here, and in addition to that sort of like smaller, minute sort of check-in, you should do sort of a more broad review of how your week or how your month has gone. So here are a couple of questions you could ask yourself. What went well this week? Honestly, just writing down or even just thinking of your wins and your positives can be really inspiring and encouraging for you. Second question you can ask yourself is, what didn't go as planned and why? What can I do differently next week? That's another one. What can I do differently next week? If nothing changes, if nothing changes. So if things aren't going the way that you want, what can you change to see if it will make a difference? These are the things that we have to do consciously, or we just get stuck. So maybe you didn't hear back from an editor, but was your pitch too vague? Maybe you missed your goal, but what got in the way? How can you adjust that goal so that you are able to meet it? This process of reflection helps you learn and adapt and keep improving. It's like steering a ship, kind of. You're constantly making small course corrections so that you can definitely stay on track to get where you're going. So here's your homework for today. Let's recap your actions, your 3 weekly actions that you need to take. Number 1 is pitch every week. Keep those ideas and services that you could do for people, keep those flowing to the inboxes. Number 2 is build relationships. Nurture connections with editors and writers in your network. Just do it. Find a way to do it, whether it's engaging in a Facebook group or some other kind of group, getting to a networking event. You need to be engaging. And number 3, review and refine. Reflect on your progress to make each week better than the last. If you commit to these 3 actions, you're going to be amazed at the momentum that you can build, because success isn't about just doing one big thing. You can't just cross something off your list and be like, done. It's about showing up week after week. It's about your persistence, your consistency, and your dedication to doing the work. When you do that, I promise things are going to get better. Now, that's it for today's episode. But remember, freelancing is a long game and consistency is your best friend. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about how to stand out in a crowded market and position yourself as the go-to writer that editors love to work with, and also the go-to person that people refer to when it comes to the niche or the service that you do. If you're finding value in this podcast, please consider sharing it with a friend. And also think about signing up for Bragworthy Bylines, Get Paid and Published in 12 weeks. This is when we deep dive every topic that we're going through in this podcast in real time. You get coaching, you get personalized, customized training on your goals, and working with me for 12 full weeks. So I would love to see you in. Go to bragworthybylines.com. All right, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.